This is David Goldman, Asia Times Deputy Editor, speaking to you from New York City the evening of September 9th. Inflation is shaping up to be the decisive political issue of 2022, and almost certainly the undoing of the Democrats in elections for both houses of Congress in the coming year. We've already seen cracks in the political dam emerge, where the Democratic senator from West Virginia, Harry Manchin, warned in the Wall Street Journal a couple of days ago, and I quote, "An overheating economy has imposed a costly inflation tax on every middle and working class American." That's why Senator Manchin said he won't be supporting the Biden administration's proposed $3.5 billion stimulus. If you look at the chart of the day, this shows a breakdown of the University of Michigan's widely followed Consumer Sentiment Index, but arrayed according to the political affiliation of respondents. We see that the Republican contingent has gone from a sentiment index of around 130 to only 50. That's the lowest level that anyone has registered on record in the 50 years the survey has been taken, and independents are down almost as far. The only people who seem relatively optimistic about the economy are Democrats, and their confidence has been falling for the past several months as well. Now, Republicans and independents together make up 70% of the electorate, so that's a very bad sign for the Democrats. Now, inflation itself is showing itself to be far from transitory, and the Federal Reserve's use of that term is becoming increasingly less credible. Each day we see additional evidence that inflation is baked into the cake at very high levels for a very long period of time. Today we saw a report from a property management firm that the average new lease signed by a tenant for an American apartment costs 17% more than the previous tenant paid. And we're seeing similar results, 12% year-on-year increases in new rentals, reported by some of the major websites like apartmentlist.com. Now, according to the U.S. government, rental inflation is only growing at 2% a year. How is this possible? Well, most people don't renew their lease every month. There's a lag. And as new rents come up and old leases expire, the sticker shock is hitting tenants with increases, as I said, of around 17%. So rental inflation is going to keep dripping into the system as old leases expire and new leases are signed for the next 2 to 3 years. And that bakes inflation of well over 5% into the cake. The Cleveland Federal Reserve, which uses high-frequency data to forecast the inflation rate, now puts the Consumer Price Index at about 7% year-on-year. So far, the bond market has chosen to believe the Federal Reserve instead of its own eyes, to adapt an old Groucho Marx joke. That can't last forever, so be afraid. Be very afraid. The interest rate market is going to take this into account at some point, probably towards the end of this year or early next, and that will be a major drag on equity markets. This is David Goldman, Asia Times Deputy Editor, speaking to you from New York City.